Arthur Pendleton drove his boot through the office door and shouted one word that froze every soul inside: bomb. Then he grabbed Evelyn Sterling by the waist, yanked her out of her executive chair and ran. 32 floors up, 9 seconds on the timer. A woman bleeding from a glass shard in her shoulder, and a single father carrying her straight toward a window he was about to break with his shoulder. He didn't hesitate. He didn't pray. He just jumped because stopping meant dying. But here's the twist. Nobody saw coming. The man who saved the billionaire CEO's life wasn't really Arthur Pendleton, and the name he'd been hiding behind for 6 years was about to cost him everything he loved. Before we dive in, drop a comment telling me what city you're watching from tonight. I want to see how far this story is traveling. And if you love stories about good men doing the right thing, no matter the cost, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You won't want to miss what happens next. Whoa. Arthur Pendleton tightened the last bolt on the ventilation panel and wiped the sweat off his forehead with the back of his glove. The Sterling Apex Tower hummed around him, 72 floors of glass and ambition, and most of the suits who worked here didn't even know his name. That suited him just fine. A man with secrets learned early that anonymity was a gift, not a curse. "Adam, you still up on 32? The voice crackled through his radio. Arthur pressed the button on his shoulder. "Yeah, Marty. Just finishing up. Why?" "Foreman wants the East Wing sealed off by 5. Sterling's got some big-shot meeting tomorrow. You know how it is." "Copy that." Arthur clipped the radio back to his belt and started packing his tools. Adam Park. That was the name on his contractor badge. That was the name on his lease, his bank account, his daughter's school forms. Arthur Pendleton had been dead for 6 years, dead on paper, dead in every database that mattered, and he intended to keep it that way. He pulled out his phone and opened the lock screen. A little girl with freckles and 2 missing front teeth grinned back at him. Lily. 7 years old last month. She'd asked for a bicycle, and he'd told her, "Next paycheck, baby, next paycheck." The medical bills from her last hospital stay had eaten through his savings like a brush fire. "Hey there, kiddo," he whispered to the photo. "Daddy's almost done. Be home for dinner." He was just reaching for his toolbox when he noticed it. A wire. Thin. Copper. Running out from behind the mechanical housing where no wire should be. Arthur froze. Every instinct from a life he'd tried to bury came screaming back to the surface. He knelt slowly, set his toolbox down without a sound, and traced the wire with his eyes, not his fingers, never his fingers, back to a matte black box the size of a paperback book. "No," he breathed. "No, no, no." He leaned closer. The device was wedged against the structural support beam, tucked so carefully into the shadow that no janitor, no inspector, no security sweep would have caught it. But Arthur had spent 4 years in a unit that didn't officially exist, learning exactly what devices like this looked like, and he was looking at one now. A bomb. A real professionally constructed military-grade bomb. The LED readout glowed red through the seam of the casing. Arthur couldn't see the timer yet, but he could see the blinking rhythm. Slow. Armed, waiting. He grabbed his radio with a hand that wasn't shaking, which frightened him more than anything. "Marty. Marty, come in." "Go for Marty." "I need security to 32, right now, and I need you to get everyone off this floor." "What, Adam, what are you?" "Marty, listen to me." Arthur kept his voice flat calm, the way he used to sound on the worst nights of his old life. "There's a device. Do you understand what I'm saying? A device. On 32. Get everybody out." A long silence. "Jesus Christ. Are you sure?" "I'm sure." "I'm calling it in. Get out of there, Adam." Arthur didn't answer. He clipped the radio back, pulled his phone, and stared at Lily's face one more time. Then he locked the screen and put it in his pocket. He should leave. Every rational cell in his body was telling him to leave. Adam Park was a contractor. Adam Park had a kid. Adam Park turned around and walked out and let the professionals handle it. But Arthur Pendleton had been trained for exactly this. And Arthur Pendleton knew something the rational voice in his head didn't know yet. He knew how fast these things could go from armed to zero. He leaned forward again carefully and looked at the readout. 28 minutes. "Okay," he whispered. Okay. His radio crackled. "Adam, get out. NYPD's on the way. Bomb squad's rolling. You gotta go." 28 minutes, Marty. What? That's what we've got. 28 minutes. Bomb squad's not going to make it through Midtown traffic in 28 minutes. That's not your problem. Arthur didn't answer. Bull. He stood up slowly and started walking. Not toward the stairwell, toward the executive suite at the end of the hall. He'd seen the floor plan every day for 3 weeks. The East Wing, the corner office, the one with the view of the Hudson and the nameplate on the door. Evelyn Sterling, CEO. Arthur's boots made no sound on the carpet. His mind was racing through every possibility, every angle, every failure state. A bomb this precise, this well hidden, wasn't here to damage a building. It was here to kill one specific person. And that person was sitting about 100 feet away with no idea that the last 30 minutes of her life had just started counting down. He reached her door. It was closed. He knocked. "Come in." Arthur pushed the door open. A woman in her early 40s looked up from a sleek desk, reading glasses perched on her nose, a tablet in her hand. Sharp eyes, dark hair pulled back. The kind of face that had learned a long time ago not to trust anyone who walked through a door uninvited. "Can I help you?" she asked, glancing at his uniform. "Ms. Sterling, you need to come with me." "I'm sorry. I need you to stand up, leave everything on the desk and come with me, right now." Evelyn Sterling set her tablet down very slowly. "Who are you?" "My name is Adam Park. I'm a contractor working on the HVAC system. And there is an explosive device on this floor that is timed to kill you in approximately 26 minutes. The woman didn't move, didn't blink. "Say that again," she said. "There is a bomb. On your floor. Time to you. The bomb squad is not going to get here in time. You need to come with me." Evelyn stood up. Not panicked, just fast. "I'm calling security." "Already called." "I'm calling the police." "Already called." "Ma'am, Ms. Sterling, I'm asking you to trust me. Please." She stared at him. Arthur stared back. And somewhere behind those sharp eyes, something shifted. She'd spent her life reading men, and the man in front of her was not lying. "Why are you the one telling me this?" she said. "Because I found it." "And you didn't leave?" Arthur's jaw tightened. "No, ma'am, I didn't leave." Evelyn grabbed her phone from the desk and her coat from the back of the chair. "Stairs. Stairs are faster than elevators, but I need you to do exactly what I say, every step." "Fine." They moved into the hallway. Arthur took her arm, not hard, just firm, and walked her toward the west stairwell. His radio crackled again. "Adam? Adam, where are you?" "Got Ms. Sterling, headed for the west stairs." There was a pause. Then Marty's voice came back strained. "Adam, we got a problem." "What?" "Building security just pulled the alarm. Whole tower's evacuating. Fire doors are sealing on the lower floors for protocol. You're not going to make it out that way." Arthur stopped walking. Evelyn looked at him. "What does that mean?" she asked. "It means the stairwell isn't an option anymore." "Then what's the plan?" Arthur's mind was moving faster than his mouth. He was thinking about every exit in the building, every window, every emergency system he'd spent 3 weeks installing, inspecting, memorizing. Every goddamn piece of this tower he knew better than the architects who designed it. Ms. Sterling, I need you to answer me honestly. Are you claustrophobic? No. Scared of heights? What? Are you scared of heights? Everyone's scared of heights. That's not what I asked. Evelyn stared at him. No, I'm not. Good. Come with me. He pulled her toward the service corridor. His radio kept crackling voices overlapping, someone shouting, Marty cursing, but Arthur had tuned it out. The only sound in his head was a ticking clock and a small girl's laugh. Daddy, when are you coming home? Soon, baby. Real soon. They reached a maintenance door. Arthur pulled a ring of keys from his belt, found the right one on the first try, and unlocked it. What is this? Evelyn asked. Window washer's rig, external scaffolding. Runs up and down the east face of the building. If I can get us to it, we can lower all the way down. We're on the 32nd floor. Yes, ma'am. Have you ever used one of these before? Once, a long time ago, in a different life. She didn't ask what that meant. Later she would, but not now. Arthur pulled the door open. The wind hit them like a wall. They were standing on a narrow platform outside the building, suspended by cables, the city sprawling out beneath them in a grid of glass and steel. Evelyn grabbed the rail and didn't let go. Adam. I know. Adam, there's a problem. What? She was pointing up. Arthur followed her finger. The cable above them was severed. A clean cut, recently done. The rig wasn't going anywhere. Someone knew we'd come this way, Evelyn whispered. Arthur's blood went cold. No, he said. Someone knew you'd come this way. That's when he understood. The bomb wasn't just timed to kill her. The escape routes had been sabotaged. Every exit she might reach in a crisis had been systematically neutralized in advance. Whoever was trying to kill Evelyn Sterling had been inside her building, inside her life, long enough to know exactly how she'd try to run. His radio crackled one more time. Marty's voice, thin, breaking. Adam, listen. They just found 3 more devices, lower floors. Whoever did this, they weren't taking chances. Get out. I don't care how. Just get out. Arthur ripped the radio off his belt and threw it. Ms. Sterling. Evelyn. Just call me Evelyn. Evelyn, I need you to trust me one more time. I trusted you when you came through my door. I'm trusting you now. What do? We go back inside, and I'm going to try something I haven't tried in a long time. What? I'm going to try to disarm it. She stared at him for a long moment. The wind whipped her hair around her face. Who are you? She asked quietly. Really? Somebody who used to do this for a living? For the government. Not exactly. For bad people. Not exactly. Evelyn almost laughed. You don't give a straight answer, do you, Mr. Park? Ma'am, in about 20 minutes, neither one of us might be alive. So if you want a straight answer, I'll give you one. My name isn't Adam. I used to disarm things like this for people who trained me and then decided I knew too much. I walked away 6 years ago, and I've been hiding ever since because I have a daughter who needs a father. And I'm telling you the truth because if you survive this, and I don't, somebody needs to know she exists. Evelyn didn't speak for a second. Then she said, What's her name? Lily. How old? 7. Okay. Evelyn nodded. Okay. Let's go save your daughter's father. They moved back inside, down the hall. Arthur's heart was hammering now, but his hands were steady. Muscle memory was an ugly thing. It didn't forget. He knelt in front of the device. Evelyn stood behind him watching. Talk to me, he murmured. Tell me about your day. What? I need you to talk. Just talk. Keep me grounded. Okay, I had coffee this morning, too much. My assistant brought me a second one I didn't ask for. Good. Keep going. We had a board meeting. 8:30. Our COO wanted to push through an acquisition I'd been blocking. Richard Croft. Arthur's fingers paused for half a second over the casing. Richard Croft. Yes. He blocked you from something. No, I blocked him. Arthur exhaled. Evelyn, I want you to listen to me very carefully, because what you just said might save both our lives. What are you talking about? The man who planted this bomb knew exactly how the building worked, knew exactly where you'd be, knew which escape routes to sabotage. You don't do that from the outside. Her face went pale. You're saying it was Richard. I'm saying somebody very close to you just tried to put your name on a tombstone, and the first person I'd talk to is a man who couldn't get what he wanted in a board meeting. Jesus. Can you do math right now? What? Tell me what 22 minus 9 is. 13. Good. Stay with me. He got the first casing open. His hands worked on memory alone, the wires, the patterns, the traps. He saw one almost immediately, a dummy capacitor, the kind of decoy that only someone who'd built bombs for a living would bother including. This guy knows what he's doing, Arthur whispered. You can still disarm it. I'm going to try. He worked for 4 minutes, then 5. Evelyn kept talking. Her voice got steadier. His hands got slower, more deliberate. Then he reached the final connection, and he saw it. The fail-safe. He froze. What? Evelyn said. What is it? If I cut this wire, the timer stops. Okay. If I cut this wire, it also triggers a secondary circuit. Which means the 30 minutes becomes 30 seconds. Evelyn's voice was very quiet. So don't cut it. If I don't cut it, it goes off in... Arthur checked the readout. 14 minutes. That's not enough time to get out. If I cut it, we have 30 seconds. 30 seconds to do what? Arthur looked up at her. To do something stupid. He stood up. She stood with him. Adam Arthur, whatever your name is. Arthur. Arthur, I want you to know something. If we don't, we're going to. If we don't. Evelyn, we're going to. She nodded once. Just once. Then she set her jaw, and in that moment, Arthur understood why this woman had climbed to the top of an empire. She wasn't scared. She was angry. And she'd decided somewhere in the last 20 minutes that she was not going to die in her own building because of a coward with a grudge. Tell me what to do, she said. I'm going to cut the wire. Then I'm going to pick you up. Then we're going through the window. We're 32 floors up. Yes, ma'am. There's a fountain plaza at the base of this tower. I know. It's full of water, about 6 feet deep in the center basin. I know. That's not survivable. Ma'am, I've done the math. 6 feet of water broken fall through reinforced landscape netting on floors 12 through 8 and 2 different awnings on the way down. It's not survivable. It's unlikely. There's a difference. Oh my God. I need you to hold on to me. Arms around my neck, legs around my waist. Don't let go no matter what. Do you understand? Yes. Count to 3. What? Count to 3 out loud, Evelyn. I need to hear your voice. 1. Arthur cut the wire. The timer shrieked, numbers tumbling. 30, 29, 28. 2. He grabbed her, lifted her, held her against him. 3. Arthur ran. Not to the door, not to the hall, straight at the window. Full speed. 27, 26. His shoulder hit the glass like a freight train, and for a half second it held, and he thought, oh God, I didn't hit it hard enough. And then it shattered in a brilliant explosion of light and wind and shards, one of which sliced into Evelyn's shoulder with a spray of red he didn't have time to think about. And then They were falling. 32 stories of New York City rushing up to meet them. Evelyn screamed into his ear. He felt her arms lock around his neck so hard his vision went spotty. The wind tore at them. The world was a blur of glass and light, and the ticking of a bomb he couldn't hear anymore over the roar of his own blood. He hit the first awning. It ripped. Second awning. It ripped. He twisted in midair, put his body between Evelyn and the world beneath them, tucked her head against his chest, and thought about Lily for exactly 1 second. Baby, I love you. I love you. I love you. And then, whoop! Water. Cold. Brutal. Black. Arthur felt his body slam into something that wasn't water, and something that was. His vision went white. He couldn't feel his legs. He couldn't feel his right arm. But he could still feel Evelyn's weight against him, and he could still feel one thing more important than anything else. He could feel her breathing. Shan. Above them on the 32nd floor, the bomb detonated. A fireball punched outward from the tower, raining glass and debris on the plaza below. Arthur didn't see it. He was under the water sinking, dragging a wounded billionaire with him into the basin of a fountain, and he was thinking, with the last clear thought of his fading consciousness. Get her out. Get her out. Get her out and then disappear. He kicked. Once. Twice. His head broke the surface, and he sucked in air, and choked, and sucked in more air. He dragged Evelyn's face up next to his. Breathe, he gasped. Breathe, Evelyn, breathe. She coughed. A wet, terrible, beautiful sound. Oh, thank God, he whispered. Oh, thank God. People were running toward them, screaming. Sirens somewhere coming closer. Arthur hauled Evelyn to the edge of the fountain and pushed her onto the stone rim. She was bleeding heavily from the shoulder. Her eyes were half open. She was alive. Hold on, he told her. Hold on. They're coming. Arthur, she whispered. Arthur, stay. He stared down at her. This woman he'd known for 31 minutes. This woman who'd trusted him with her life. This woman who'd just nearly died because someone in her own company had wanted her dead. I can't, he said. Please. Evelyn, I can't. They'll ask my name. They'll ask for my ID. They'll take my fingerprints. And somewhere in some database, someone I've been running from for 6 years is going to get a ping, and Lily is going to lose her father. I can help you. You don't know what I am. I don't care what you are. Sirens were close now, very close. Arthur leaned in and pressed his forehead against hers for just a moment. Tell them a man saved your life, he whispered. That's all they need to know. Arthur, get Richard Croft, he said. Whatever it takes, get him. And then Arthur Pendleton, wounded, soaked, bleeding alive, pushed himself up from the fountain and walked. Walked across the plaza, walked around the corner, walked into the crowd. And by the time the paramedics reached Evelyn Sterling, the man who'd saved her life was gone. 2 blocks away, Arthur staggered into an alley, leaned against a dumpster, and slid down it until he was sitting on the wet concrete. His right arm wasn't working. Something in his ribs felt wrong. The world was going gray at the edges. He pulled out his phone with his left hand. It was cracked, water damaged, but it was still on. He opened it with a shaking thumb and pressed a number on speed dial. Hi, Daddy. Hey, baby. Daddy, are you coming home? I made you a drawing. Yeah, sweetheart. Daddy's coming home. Daddy's coming home real soon. Are you okay? You sound funny. Arthur closed his eyes. Tears were rolling down his face. He didn't know when that had started. I'm okay, Lily. Daddy's just tired. Long day at work. I love you, Daddy. I love you too, baby. He hung up. He sat in that alley for a long time. Then he pushed himself up, held his ribs, and started walking home. Behind him, New York City screamed with sirens. A tower burned. A CEO was being lifted onto a stretcher, whispering a name to anyone who would listen. Arthur, his name is Arthur. Find him. Find him. And in a penthouse across the city, a man named Richard Croft was watching the news with a glass of scotch in his hand and an expression that was slowly turning from satisfied to confused to afraid. Because Evelyn Sterling was supposed to be dead. And she wasn't. Somewhere out there, a man he'd never heard of had just walked through his perfect plan and out the other side. A ghost, a shadow, a nobody in a contractor's uniform who shouldn't have existed. Richard set down his scotch. "Find out who was on that floor," he said into his phone. "Every contractor, every cleaner, every face. I want a name." He hung up. And across the city, in a small apartment above a laundromat in Queens, a 7-year-old girl with freckles opened the door and threw her arms around her father's waist, without noticing that his shirt was soaked, or that his hands were trembling, or that he was holding her just a little bit tighter than usual. "I missed you, Daddy." "I missed you too, baby." Arthur closed the door behind him, locked it, checked the chain. Then he slid to the floor with his daughter in his arms, and for the first time in 6 years, he let himself cry. Because he'd just saved a life. And in doing so, he'd put the only life that mattered to him in more danger than he'd been in since the day he'd walked away from his old name. The ghost was back, and somebody out there was about to start looking for him. Arthur woke up to the sound of cartoons and the smell of burned toast. "Daddy, I tried to make breakfast, but the toaster is stupid." He blinked up at the ceiling, and for one long second couldn't remember where he was. Then his ribs screamed at him, and he remembered everything. "Daddy." "I'm up, sweetheart. I'm up." Lily's face appeared over him. She was still in her pajamas. Her hair was a tangled mess. She was holding a plate with 2 blackened squares of bread on it. "I made you breakfast." "Baby, that's the most beautiful toast I've ever seen." "You're just saying that." "I would never." She giggled. He sat up slowly and felt something grind in his chest. He didn't let it show on his face. He'd gotten good at that a long time ago. "Lily, listen to me for a second." "Am I in trouble?" "No, baby, you're not in trouble. I just need you to stay home from school today." "Really? Really?" "Why?" "Because Daddy's not feeling great and I want my best girl close." "Are you sick?" "Just a little." She frowned. She was 7 years old, and already she had a way of looking at him like she could see right through whatever he said. Her mother had looked at him the same way. A long time ago. Before. "Okay, Daddy." "That's my girl. Go watch your show. I'll make us some real breakfast in a minute." She kissed him on the cheek and padded back to the living room. Arthur waited until she was out of sight, and then he let himself groan. He pushed himself up from the couch he'd slept there. He hadn't even made it to the bedroom, and staggered to the window. He pulled the blind back 1 inch. The street looked normal. A mailman walking his route, a woman pushing a stroller, an old Buick he didn't recognize parked across the way. An old Buick he didn't recognize. Arthur let the blind fall back. "Okay," he whispered to himself. Okay. Maybe it's nothing." Then he picked up his phone. In Lenox Hill Hospital, 38 blocks away, Evelyn Sterling opened her eyes and immediately tried to sit up. "Ma'am, don't." A nurse was pressing her gently back down onto the pillow. "Where am I?" "Lenox Hill. You're safe. You're okay." "My shoulder, D. You had surgery. You've got about 60 stitches and you're very lucky. Please, lie back." "The man. Where's the man?" "Ma'am, please. The man who was with me. Where is he?" The nurse hesitated. "Ma'am, there was no man with you." "What?" "Paramedics found you in the fountain at the base of the tower. You were alone. A few witnesses said they saw someone walk away, but—" "Get me my phone." "Ma'am, you really need to rest." "Get me my phone. Now." The nurse left. Evelyn tried to breathe through the pain and couldn't. She tried to focus and couldn't. Her head was full of broken glass and wind, and a man's voice saying, "Hold on," and a little girl's name she couldn't quite remember. A name. Arthur. She said it out loud like she was afraid of losing it. Arthur. Ma'am. His name is Arthur. Write that down. Tell the police. His name is Arthur, and he has a daughter named Lily, and he saved my life. Ma'am, I'll let the detectives know as soon as they arrive. Now, tell them now. The nurse nodded and left. Evelyn closed her eyes. Her shoulder throbbed. Her whole body felt like it had been hit by a truck, which in a manner of speaking, it had. But none of that was what kept her awake. What kept her awake was a simple, ugly thought that had taken shape in her head somewhere between the morphine drip and the fluorescent lights. Somebody in her building had tried to kill her. Somebody who knew her. Somebody who was still out there. Marty, it's Adam. Adam, Jesus Christ. Adam, where are you? The cops have been trying to reach you all night. They're saying you disappeared from the scene. Marty, listen to me. I need you to do me a favor. A favor, Adam. You saved the CEO. You're a hero. Why are you hiding? Marty. Yeah. The paperwork you have on me. The contractor forms, my address, everything. Yeah. I need you to lose it. A pause. Adam, what are you asking me? I'm asking you to make it disappear. Say the files got corrupted. Say I was a day laborer. Say whatever you have to say. I can't have my name and address on anybody's list right now. Adam, the FBI is involved. You understand that, right? I understand. I can't lie to the FBI. I'm not asking you to lie. I'm asking you to lose a file that was probably going to get lost anyway. I've seen your filing cabinet, Marty. Half your paperwork is from 2004. Adam, why are you scared? The woman you saved is a billionaire. She'll take care of you. She'll get you a lawyer, Marty, please. The silence on the other end was long. You're a good man, Adam. I don't know what I am. You ran into a burning floor for a woman you didn't know. Marty? All right, I'll see what I can do. But you gotta tell me something. Are you in trouble? Yeah. Bad trouble? Yeah. Does it have anything to do with what happened yesterday? No, that part's over. This is something else. This is something older. Just please, do what you can. Okay, kid. Thank you, Marty. Arthur hung up. He stood in his kitchen with his hands flat on the counter and breathed slowly in and out until his hands stopped shaking. Daddy. He looked up. Lily was standing in the doorway. Yeah, baby. Who's in trouble? Nobody, sweetheart. Daddy was just talking to a friend. You said bad trouble. It's a grown-up thing. Okay. She didn't move. Lily. Daddy, are you going to have to leave again? Arthur's heart cracked down the middle. What do you mean again, baby? Like when I was little, when Mommy was still here. You used to leave for a long time and Mommy would cry. I don't remember it a lot, just a little, but I remember. Arthur got down on his knees so he was eye level with her. His ribs screamed. He ignored them. Lily, look at me. Okay. I am never leaving you, ever. Do you understand me? Never. Whatever happens, whatever I have to do, I am not going anywhere. Pinky promise. Pinky promise. She held up her little finger. He hooked his around hers. She nodded very seriously, like a judge accepting a testimony, and then she went back to the living room to finish her cartoon. Arthur stayed on his knees for a long time. 3 miles away, Richard Croft was pouring himself another drink. Tell me you have a name. We have a badge number. A badge number is not a name. The badge was assigned to a contractor working for Benson Mechanical. Name on file is Adam Park. Adam Park. Yes, sir. I want everything on Adam Park. I want his address. I want his social security number. I want to know where he buys his coffee and what color his car is, and I want it in 2 hours. Yes, sir. And I want it quiet. No badges, no uniforms, no paper trail. Understood. Richard hung up. He looked at himself in the mirror above the bar. 52 years old. Silver at the temples. Expensive suit. The face of a man who had built his life on being smarter than everyone around him, and who had just watched a total stranger walk through the middle of his master plan and save the one person who could destroy him. Adam Park, he said to the mirror. Who the hell are you, Adam Park? But 2 FBI agents walked into Evelyn Sterling's hospital room at 9:42 that morning. Ms. Sterling, I'm Agent Calloway. This is Agent Reyes. Did you find him? Ma'am. The man who saved me. Did you find him? We've identified him, ma'am. Evelyn sat up straight and immediately regretted it. You have his name. Holy. Contractor named Adam Park. Works for Benson Mechanical. He was assigned to the HVAC project on the 32nd floor. His badge scanned in at 5:40 yesterday morning, and his last scan out was, well, we don't have a scan out. It's like he vanished. He told me his name was Arthur. Calloway glanced at Reyes. I'm sorry, ma'am. His name isn't Adam Park. He told me his name. He said Adam was an alias. He said his real name was Arthur. Did he give you a last name? No. Ma'am, are you sure about this? You'd been through a severe trauma. Agent Calloway. Yes, ma'am. I am the CEO of a company worth $18 billion. I did not get there by misremembering conversations. His name is Arthur. He has a 7-year-old daughter named Lily. He used to disarm explosive devices for, and I quote, people who trained him and then decided he knew too much. He walked away 6 years ago. He's been in hiding ever since. He's not a contractor. He's a ghost. And he saved my life yesterday, and whatever database you're running Adam Park through is not going to tell you anything real. Do you understand me? Reyes spoke for the first time. Ma'am, if what you're saying is accurate, it's accurate. Then your hero is probably a lot more dangerous than he looks. He's not dangerous to me. With respect, ma'am, you met him for 30 minutes. With respect, Agent Reyes, he carried me out of a 32nd-story window. I'll take my chances. Calloway cleared his throat. Ma'am, we need to talk about something else. Richard Croft. The agents exchanged a look. You already know, Calloway said. I figured it out in the hallway yesterday. My COO had one board decision go against him, and his response was to try to kill me. Tell me I'm wrong. Ma'am, at this point in the investigation, we're not prepared to... Tell me I'm wrong. A long silence. We're not prepared to confirm anything, ma'am, but we are prepared to say that certain financial irregularities in Mr. Croft's division have been flagged for review for the past 18 months. And we'd be grateful if you didn't mention that to Mr. Croft. 18 months? Yes, ma'am. 18 months he's been stealing from me, and you didn't think to tell me? Ma'am, get out. Ms. Sterling. Both of you, get out. Boom. They got out. Evelyn sank back onto her pillow and stared at the ceiling and tried not to cry because crying was not what Evelyn Sterling did, and because if she let the first tear fall, there would be 1,000 behind it. A man she'd trusted had put a bomb under her chair. A man she didn't know had saved her from it. And the FBI had known for a year and a half. She picked up her phone and called her lawyer. Douglas, it's Evelyn. I need you to find someone for me. Evelyn, you should be resting. I need you to find a man named Arthur, last name unknown, white, around 40, former military or intelligence something in that world. Has a 7-year-old daughter named Lily. Was working yesterday as a contractor under the alias Adam Park. I don't want the FBI. I don't want the police. I want a private investigator who understands that I don't want Arthur found. I want Arthur protected. Can you do that? Evelyn, that is an extremely expensive ask. I don't care. I'll make some calls. Douglas. Yes. He has a daughter. I understand. Whatever you have to spend to keep her safe, spend it. Yes, ma'am. By noon, Arthur had done everything he could think of. Joel. He'd called Lily's school and told them she was home with the flu. He'd unplugged the router and put his laptop in the oven, which he knew was paranoid but made him feel better. He'd gone through the emergency bag he kept under the bed, cashed 2 prepaid phones, 3 sets of fake IDs that had cost him a fortune 6 years ago, and he'd set it by the door. Then he'd sat down at the kitchen table across from Lily, who was coloring. Daddy? Yeah, baby. You're being weird today. I know, sweetheart. Are you sad about something? A little? Did somebody die? Arthur almost choked. No, baby. Nobody died. Then why are you sad? Because I'm scared. You are? A little bit, yeah. What are you scared of? Arthur looked at his daughter. She was holding a purple crayon. She had a smudge of orange on her nose. She was looking at him with those clear, serious eyes that had no idea what the world actually looked like. I'm scared of not being a good enough daddy. She put her crayon down. Daddy, you are the best daddy in the whole world. Yeah. Yeah. You read me stories every night. You make the best mac and cheese. You never yell at me even when I spill stuff. And you always come home. I always come home. So stop being scared. Arthur laughed. It came out of him in a rough, broken sound that was almost a sob. Okay, baby, I'll stop being scared. Good. Lily. Yeah. If anything ever happens, if Daddy ever has to go away for a little while, you remember I love you more than anything in the whole world. Okay. She frowned. Daddy, you pinky promised. I know I did. You said you'd never leave. I know, baby. Then don't leave. I'm going to try my hardest. She held up her pinky again. Promise. For real this time. No trying. Arthur looked at her little finger. Then he thought about the Buick across the street. He thought about Richard Croft. He thought about the FBI. He thought about the way Evelyn Sterling had said his real name in that stairwell, the name he hadn't heard spoken out loud in 6 years. He hooked his finger around his daughter's. Promise. At 1:30 in the afternoon, a black sedan pulled up across from Arthur's apartment building, and 2 men got out. Neither of them was wearing a uniform. Both of them were wearing sunglasses, which was how you knew. They walked into the laundromat on the ground floor, spoke to the woman behind the counter for about 2 minutes, showed her a picture on a phone. She shook her head. They showed her another picture. She looked at it for a longer moment. Then she pointed up. The 2 men thanked her politely and walked back outside. One of them got on his phone. Yeah, we got him. Apartment above the laundromat in Queens. Yeah, a kid, there's a kid. Female about 7. What do you want us to do about the kid? A pause. Copy that. He hung up. What did he say? The other one asked. He said the kid's leverage. Don't hurt her. Just grab her if we can't grab him. Jesus Christ. Yeah. When? Tonight, after dark. He wants it clean. Clean. His word, not mine. Upstairs, Arthur looked out through the blinds for the 3rd time that hour. The Buick was gone. A black sedan was there now. Arthur's stomach turned to ice. He walked very calmly into the living room and picked up his daughter. Hey, baby. Change of plans. What? We're going on a trip. Really, where? I don't know yet. Somewhere fun. Are we going to the beach? Maybe. Maybe we'll go to the beach. He carried her to her room and set her on the bed. Lily, listen to Daddy. I need you to pack your backpack, your favorite toy, Your toothbrush. 1 book. Your stuffed bear. Okay. Why so little? Because we're gonna travel light on this trip. Like a spy. A spy? Yep. Cool. Yay. She started packing. Arthur went to the living room. He pulled the emergency bag from beside the door. He grabbed his keys. He grabbed Lily's jacket. His hands were moving without him thinking, and all the things he'd spent 6 years hoping he'd never have to do were coming back to him like they'd been waiting. Then his phone rang. Unknown number. Arthur stared at it. He wasn't going to answer. Every rule he'd ever written for himself said, "Don't answer." A ringing phone from an unknown number, after a day like this, was a trap, a trace, a trigger. It kept ringing. He picked up. Hello? Arthur? He closed his eyes. He knew the voice. Evelyn? Don't hang up. How did you get this number? I have a lot of money and a lot of fear, and I have been using both for the past 4 hours. Please don't hang up. Evelyn, you shouldn't have called me. Arthur, listen to me. There's a black car outside your building. His blood stopped moving. What? My investigator has been watching your block for the last 90 minutes. 2 men in a black sedan. They went into the laundromat. They spoke to the woman at the counter. They're not FBI. They're not police. They're Richards. How do you know? Because he made 1 phone call from his office an hour ago, and those 2 men showed up outside your home 45 minutes later, and the math is not complicated, Arthur. Arthur looked at his bag by the door. Evelyn, I'm leaving. Right now. I'm taking my daughter, and I'm leaving. Don't. Don't what? Don't run. Are you kidding me? Arthur, where are you going to go? You'll be on the street with a 7-year-old in an hour. You'll be in a motel in 3. And by tomorrow, Richard Croft will have your face on every private channel money can buy. Running is what he wants. Running is what gets your daughter killed. Then what? Come to me. What? Come to me. Bring Lily. I have an estate in Greenwich. Private security, private doctors, private everything. You'll be safe. Your daughter will be safe. And we will take Richard Croft apart piece by piece together. Evelyn, you don't understand. The people looking for me, the people I was running from before yesterday, they're worse than Richard Croft. Then we'll put you in a room where nobody can find you until this is over. You don't know who I am. I know you carried me out of a window. Arthur's throat closed. Arthur, please, don't run. Let me help you. You saved my life. Let me save yours. He looked at Lily's bedroom door. She was singing to herself in there, packing her little backpack, humming a song from one of her cartoons. Evelyn. Yes. If I come to you, my daughter is your only priority, not me, her. Do you understand? I understand. Whatever happens to me, she lives. She grows up. She goes to college. She forgets my name if she has to. Arthur, promise me. I promise. Send a car. It's already on its way. Corner of your block. Blue Range Rover. Driver's name is Miguel. He's mine. You can trust him. How long? 11 minutes. Okay. Arthur. Yeah. I'm glad you answered the phone. He didn't say anything. He just hung up, and he walked to his daughter's room, and he watched her for 1 second as she zipped up her backpack and hugged her stuffed bear and turned to him with the biggest smile in the world. Ready, Daddy? Good girl. He picked her up. He kissed the top of her head. And Arthur Pendleton, a man who had spent 6 years hiding from everything and everyone, walked out of his apartment for the last time carrying his daughter and an emergency bag toward a car driven by a stranger into the arms of a woman who had known him for a single day and who had somehow become in that one day the only person on earth he had left to trust. Behind him, 2 men in sunglasses sat in a black sedan and waited for dark. Ding! They didn't know it yet, but the apartment above the laundromat was already empty. The Range Rover pulled up at the corner exactly 11 minutes later, just like she'd said. Arthur saw it from the lobby of the laundromat. He had Lily on his hip and the emergency bag on his shoulder. He'd taken the service stairs down. He hadn't said goodbye to anyone. "Daddy, that's a fancy car." "Yeah, baby, it is." "Are we rich now?" "No, sweetheart, we're just borrowing a ride." He walked out of the laundromat, crossed the sidewalk fast, but not fast enough to look like he was running, and opened the passenger door. A man in his 50s with salt and pepper hair turned to look at him. "Mr. Pendleton." Arthur flinched at the name. "Miguel." "Yes, sir. Ms. Sterling sent me." "You know my real name." "I know the name she gave me. I don't know who you are, and I don't care. Get in." Arthur put Lily in the back seat and climbed in beside her. "Buckle up, baby." "I know how." "I know you do." Miguel pulled away from the curb. Smooth. No squealing tires. Arthur turned and looked out the back window as they drove. The black sedan hadn't moved. The two men in sunglasses hadn't come out of the laundromat yet. He let himself breathe. "How long to Greenwich?" he asked. 50 minutes, no traffic. An hour and 10 with it." "Are we being followed?" Miguel's eyes flicked to the rearview mirror. "Not right now. Keep checking." "I have been." Lily was looking around the car with huge eyes. She ran her hand over the leather. She pushed the button that made her window go up and down. Arthur didn't stop her. "Daddy, where are we going?" "To a friend's house." "Whose friend?" "Daddy's friend. Her name is Evelyn." "Is she nice?" "I think she is." "Does she have any kids?" "I don't know, baby. I don't think so." "Then who does she play with?" Arthur laughed. It came out raw. "I don't know, sweetheart. Maybe us." 20 blocks away, the two men in the black sedan finally got out of the laundromat and walked up the stairs to Arthur's apartment. The door was unlocked. The lights were off. The apartment was empty. One of them pulled out his phone. "He's gone." A pause. No. No signs of a struggle. Bag's gone. Kid's bag is gone. The toothbrushes in the bathroom are gone. He packed. Another pause. "I don't know how, boss. He either made us or somebody tipped him off." A longer pause. Then the man's face changed. Yeah, I'll pull the traffic cameras. Yeah, I got a guy. It'll take a few hours." He hung up. "What'd he say?" the other one asked. "He said he already has a guess where they went." "Where?" "Greenwich." In her hospital room, Evelyn was signing discharge papers against every instruction her doctor had given her. "Ms. Sterling, you had surgery yesterday. You cannot—" "I can, I am. Give me the pen." "Your shoulder." "Will heal in a hospital room or in my own home. I choose home." "Ma'am, the chances of infection." "I have a private nurse meeting me at the estate. She'll change the dressings. She'll monitor my vitals. She'll do everything you would have done for 3 times the money. Now please the pen." She signed. She stood up. Her shoulder screamed at her, but her face didn't show it. She'd been told one too many times in her life that she couldn't do something. It had stopped working on her around age 19. "Ma'am, at least let me get you a wheelchair to the no wheelchair." She walked out of Lenox Hill on her own 2 feet, a black sling on her left arm, and a silk scarf covering the bandage on her neck, and the photographers who'd been camped outside the hospital for 18 hours got exactly 1 second of footage before her security team folded her into a car, and it was gone. She called Douglas on the way. "Is he moving?" "He's on the parkway. Miguel says the kid is asleep." "Good." "Evelyn." "Yes. I have to ask you something, and you're not going to like it." "Go." "Do we know he's who he says he is?" "What do you mean?" "I mean, he gave you a first name, a sob story, and a 7-year-old daughter, and 3 hours later you're bringing him into your home. What if the whole thing was the setup? Douglas. Evelyn, I'm your lawyer. It is my job to ask this question. He carried me out of a window. He could have been the man who blew up the window. The window was glass. He didn't detonate it. He broke it with his shoulder. Evelyn. Douglas. I watched him try to disarm the device. I watched him realize he couldn't. I watched him do the math in his head, save himself, save me, save both of us, and choose the option that gave him the worst odds of living. That's not a setup. That's a man. Okay. And besides. Besides what? He has a daughter. That could be part of the story. Douglas, he has a daughter. I heard him talk to her on the phone before he left her that morning. I saw the way his face changed when he said her name in the middle of the building with the bomb ticking behind us. You can fake a lot of things. You can't fake that. Douglas didn't answer for a moment. All right. What do you need from me? I need every piece of dirt on Richard Croft that exists. I need it by tomorrow morning. I need my board briefed by tomorrow night. And I need a private firm, not the FBI, to find out who Arthur Pendleton really is. Quietly, gently. I don't want him scared. Understood. Douglas. Yes. Thank you. Arthur watched New York disappear behind them on I-95. Lily had fallen asleep with her cheek against the window. He could see her breath fogging the glass. He could hear her little hiccups of breathing. He reached over and tucked her stuffed bear under her arm. She's a good kid, Miguel said from the front seat. Yeah, she is. How old? 7. My youngest is 8. She's a handful. They all are. Yeah. There was a long, comfortable silence. Miguel wasn't a talker. Arthur appreciated that. Then Miguel said, I want you to know something, Mr. Pendleton. Yeah. I worked for Ms. Sterling for 12 years. Driving, security, some other things. She saved my life once. A long time ago. Different story. Okay. I'm telling you this because I want you to understand. Whatever she told you on the phone, she meant. She doesn't say things she doesn't mean. Okay, and I want you to understand something else. What? If you hurt her, I will end you. I won't think twice. Arthur looked at Miguel's eyes in the rearview mirror. They were calm. They were steady. They were the eyes of a man who had meant every word. Miguel. Yes. If I hurt her, you won't have to. Miguel nodded. He kept driving. Richard Croft was in his office when his phone rang. Tell me. He's gone, boss. Apartment was empty. He cleared out before we got in. How? We think somebody tipped him off. Richard closed his eyes. Evelyn. Boss. It was Evelyn. She found him first. She's been looking for him since yesterday. I should have guessed. What do you want us to do? Richard stood up and walked to his window. He looked out over the smoke-stained husk of the Sterling Apex Tower 2 blocks away. The east face of the 32nd floor was a black scar. Below it on the plaza, the fountain he'd had installed 3 years ago was roped off with police tape. He'd built his whole life around that tower. He'd stolen $9 million from it over 18 months. He'd laundered the money through 4 shell companies he'd set up in the Caymans. He'd been about to retire on the yacht he'd bought with the stolen funds when a stupid board meeting had forced his hand, and he'd decided the only way out was to kill the woman standing between him and his escape. And now some nameless contractor had ruined everything. Boss, what do you want us to do? Richard turned from the window. Find out if she took him to Greenwich. If she did, we can't move on him there. Too much security. So what? So we wait. Wait for what? For him to come out. He will. He has to. If he's the witness she wants him to be, he's going to testify. And to testify, he has to leave her house. And when he does, Then, Richard hung up. He walked to his bar and poured himself a scotch with a hand that was only shaking a little bit. Then he made one more phone call. A number he hadn't used in 3 years. A number he had sworn he would never use again. "It's Croft. I have a job." A pause. "Yeah, that kind of job." A pause. "His name is Adam Park, but that might not be his real name. He's under protection in Greenwich, Sterling Estate. I need him out of the picture before he talks to a federal prosecutor." A pause. "I don't care what it costs." A pause. "Yes. There's a kid. No. Don't touch the kid. Not because I care. Because a dead kid is a media circus, and I need this quiet." A pause. "Thank you." He hung up. And somewhere across the country, a man who had been looking for Arthur Pendleton for 6 years picked up a folder off his desk, smiled very slightly, and started making travel arrangements. The Range Rover pulled through a gate that opened by itself and rolled up a long driveway. Arthur saw the house before Lily did. It was the kind of house you didn't see in real life. It was the kind of house that existed in movies. He felt small. "Lily, baby, wake up." She stirred. "Are we there?" "Yeah, sweetheart. We're here." She opened her eyes and looked out the window, and her jaw fell open. "Daddy." "I know. Daddy, that's a castle. It's a house, baby." "Daddy, it's a castle." Miguel was smiling. The car pulled up under a stone portico. A staff member, a woman in her 30s navy blue suit, no expression, opened the door. "Mr. Pendleton, Miss Lily, please, this way." "How do you know my name?" Lily asked. "Ms. Sterling told me, sweetheart." "Who's Ms. Sterling?" "You're about to meet her." They walked into a foyer that was bigger than Arthur's entire apartment. Lily stopped walking and just stared up. Arthur kept his hand on her shoulder. "Arthur," and he looked up. Evelyn was coming down the grand staircase, one hand on the banister, moving slowly. Her left arm was in a black sling. She had a bandage visible above the collar of her blouse. She looked, Arthur thought, exactly like what she was, a woman who had almost died yesterday and had refused to stay in bed about it. He stepped forward. "You shouldn't be walking around." "My doctor said the same thing." "You should listen to your doctor." "I know." She reached the bottom of the stairs. She stopped in front of him. For a second, neither of them said anything. They just looked at each other. There was something uncomfortable and honest in the silence. Two people who had held each other during a fall from 32 stories, who had felt each other's hearts beating through the same soaked clothes in a fountain, and who now had to figure out how to greet each other in a foyer like regular people. Then Evelyn looked down. "And you must be Lily." Lily hid behind Arthur's leg. "Sweetheart, say hi." "Hi." "It's very nice to meet you, Lily. My name is Evelyn. Your daddy helped me yesterday when I was hurt, and I wanted to say thank you." "Is that why your arm is in a sling?" "Yes, it is." "Does it hurt?" "A little bit, but it's getting better." "My daddy's a helper. He helps everyone." Evelyn looked up at Arthur. Her eyes were full of something he couldn't quite name. "Yes," she said. "He does." They ate dinner at a table for 18. Just the three of them. Lily had macaroni and cheese because Evelyn had asked quietly what the little girl liked, and Arthur had told her quietly, "Don't make a fuss," and Evelyn had ignored him and told the kitchen to make the best macaroni and cheese of their lives. It had white truffle shavings on it. Lily didn't notice. She ate 3 helpings. After dinner, Evelyn showed her the library. "You have this many books." "I do." "Have you read all of them?" "Not all of them." "Why?" "Because I'm not done yet." Lily looked at her with enormous respect. "Can I read one?" "You can read any one you want." Arthur watched his daughter pick a book with a dragon on the cover. She curled up in a leather armchair the size of a canoe and started reading. He felt something in his chest loosen an inch. Evelyn touched his arm. "Walk with me." They went out onto a terrace. She left the door open so she could still see Lily. "You need to eat," she said. "I'll eat." Arthur. "I'm not hungry, Evelyn." "You haven't eaten in a day and a half." "How do you know?" "Miguel told me." "Miguel's observant." "Miguel's very observant." She leaned against the stone railing. She winced when her shoulder hit it. She pretended she hadn't. "We need to talk," she said. "I know." "The FBI wants you." "I know. They want you to testify. The grand jury meets in 3 days. Richard Croft has 12 hours worth of questions to answer, and they want you to answer them first." "I can't do it under my own name." "I know. I already asked Douglas to talk to the U.S. attorney. They'll accept a sealed deposition. You can testify under Adam Park, or another alias if you have one. They just need your evidence about the device, the design, the trigger, the sabotaged exits, your forensic testimony about why this had to be an inside job. Richard's prints aren't on the bomb. They need your voice to connect him. And after you disappear, they won't look for you. They won't keep you on any list. That's the deal Douglas is cutting." Arthur stared out into the dark. "Evelyn?" "Yes." "Why are you doing this?" "I told you why." "No. You told me a version of why. I want the real why." She didn't answer for a moment. "My father," she said, "built this company with his 2 hands. He died 15 years ago. He left me everything. And every day since then, I have been fighting men who thought the company would collapse because a woman was sitting in the chair. I have fired people. I have sued people. I have crushed people. I have never not once had somebody do something for me without wanting something back." "Evelyn, let me finish. You carried me out of a window. You didn't ask me for my name. You didn't ask me for money. You didn't ask me for a photograph for the papers. You put me on the edge of a fountain, and you told me to say a man saved me, and you walked away. And I spent last night in a hospital bed trying to figure out what kind of man does that." I'm not done. "And while I was trying to figure out what kind of man does that, I realized I was going to spend the rest of my life trying to figure it out if I didn't find you. So I found you. And now you and your daughter are in my house, and I'm going to keep you both alive. Not because I owe you, because I want to. Is that the real why you were looking for?" Arthur didn't speak. She looked at him. "Say something." "I don't know what to say." "Say you'll stay." "I'll stay until I can testify. Then we have to go." "Arthur?" "Evelyn. The people who are after me, the people from before yesterday, they will find me here eventually. Every day I stay is a day closer to them finding Lily. I can't." "Who are they?" He shook his head. "Arthur." "I can't tell you." "Why not?" "Because knowing makes you a target." "Arthur, a board member tried to kill me with a building. I am already a target." He looked at her. "I worked for a private group, not a government agency, not a military unit, the kind of group that doesn't show up on any list. I did things for them that I will never describe to anyone out loud as long as I live. 6 years ago, I found out they were going to kill an asset we'd been running. A woman, a civilian. She'd become a liability. I refused. I broke her out. I got her to a safe house in a country I'm never going back to. Then I ran. I've been running ever since. My wife Lily's mother, she didn't make it. That's a different story. I don't want to tell it. The people I ran from have been looking for me for 6 years. Every time I think I'm safe, a face shows up. Every time I get comfortable, I have to move. And the one thing they don't know, the one thing I have kept from them, is that I have a daughter." Evelyn was very still. "And now," Arthur said, "I am standing on a terrace in Greenwich with the woman whose life I saved yesterday, and my daughter is reading a book about dragons in a library worth more than I'll make in a lifetime, and I have 36 hours to testify against a billionaire before the people who want me dead figure out I'm here. That's the real why. That's the whole why. That's me." Evelyn looked at him for a long moment. Then she said quietly, "We'll protect her." "You can't promise that." "I can promise I will try. With everything I have. Everything." "Evelyn." "With everything, Arthur." He turned his face away because his eyes were stinging, and he didn't want her to see it. "Okay," he said. "Okay. I'll testify." "Thank you." "And then we leave." "I know." "Don't try to stop me." "I won't." She paused. "But I'm going to give you somewhere to go, and I'm going to give you enough money that Lily never has to worry about a medical bill again. And I'm going to give you a name that actually holds up. And if you ever want to come back, if you ever want to call, I'll answer. That's the deal I'm offering." "That's too much." "It's not enough." Inside the library, a 7-year-old girl turned a page in a book about dragons and yawned. Outside the gates, a mile down the road, a dark car that had been sitting with its lights off for 20 minutes quietly pulled back onto the road and drove away. Its driver made a phone call. "He's there. The kid is with him. Full staff on the property. Security's tight." A pause. "Copy that. I'll wait for the window." He hung up. In the kitchen, Miguel poured himself a coffee and watched the monitors, and saw the car leave, and his jaw tightened, and he picked up his radio and started giving orders that would keep the estate locked down harder than a military base for the next 36 hours. And in the library, Arthur walked in, sat on the floor next to his daughter's armchair, and asked her what the dragon's name was. "His name is Percival." "That's a big name for a dragon." "He's a big dragon, Daddy." "Yeah," Arthur said. "Yeah, I bet he is." He reached up and took her little hand in his. She didn't look up from her book. She just squeezed his fingers and kept reading. And for the first time in 6 years, Arthur Pendleton let himself close his eyes in a room that wasn't his own, and believe for just a second that maybe his daughter was safe. Just a second. Then he opened them again because a man like him couldn't afford any longer than that. Arthur didn't sleep much that night. He lay on top of a bed that was too soft in a guest room that was too quiet, and he listened to Lily breathing in the room next to his through a baby monitor Evelyn's staff had set up without him asking. Every 20 minutes, he got up and walked to the window. Every 20 minutes, he saw the same thing: 2 security guards on the lawn, one on the north gate, one on the south. And every 20 minutes, he went back to the bed and stared at the ceiling. At 4 in the morning, there was a soft knock on his door. "Come in." Evelyn pushed the door open. She was in pajamas and a robe. Her sling was still on. "You're awake." "So are you." "I haven't slept since the hospital." "Sit down before you fall down." She sat in the chair by the window. He sat on the edge of the bed. Neither of them spoke for a minute. Then she said, "Douglas called 10 minutes ago. The U.S. attorney agreed to the sealed deposition. You testify tomorrow morning at 9 in a federal courthouse in White Plains. Your name on the record will be Witness A. Your face will not be photographed. Your voice will be modulated when any of it is used in court. No press, no cameras, no journalists. If Richard Croft's defense team wants to cross-examine you, they do it in a sealed environment. When it's over, you walk out a side entrance, and I have a car waiting. Okay? Is that okay?" "It's okay." "Arthur?" "Yes." "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet." "Why?" "Because I haven't done it." She didn't push. She just sat there with him in the half-dark. Outside, somewhere on the grounds, a security dog started barking and then stopped. "Arthur." "Yes." "What happens if they're watching the courthouse?" "Then they're watching the courthouse." What does that mean? It means we go in through the garage, and we come out through the garage, and we hope that nobody who wants me dead is patient enough to sit in a federal parking lot for 6 hours. And if they are, then we have a bad day. Arthur. Evelyn, there's no plan that's perfect. There's only a plan that's less bad than the other plans. And me testifying is less bad than me not testifying. Because if Richard Croft walks, he's going to spend the rest of his life funding people to look for me. And I don't have the rest of my life to spend running from him on top of everybody else. Okay. Go to sleep. I can't. Me neither. She laughed a little. Arthur? Yeah. Tell me something about Lily. What do you want to know? Anything. Tell me something she did that you love. Arthur stared at his hands for a second. When she was 4, he said she found a bird in our backyard. Dead. Hit a window. She didn't know it was dead. She sat with it for an hour, trying to get it to drink water out of a spoon. Oh. She cried when I told her. Not because it was dead. Because she said she'd been bothering it. She was worried she hadn't let it rest. Arthur. Yeah, I think your daughter is the best person in this house. I know she is. At the exact same moment 1,100 miles away, in a small airport in Kansas City, a man named Caleb Marsh was boarding a private jet with a single duffel bag and a passport that wasn't his. Caleb Marsh was 47 years old. He had trained Arthur Pendleton once a long time ago. He had watched Arthur become one of the best operators in a group that didn't officially exist, and then he had watched Arthur walk away. The night Arthur disappeared, Caleb had been the one who had been sent to find him. He'd spent 3 years looking. He'd come close twice. He'd never closed. Then a phone call had come in 6 hours earlier from a man Caleb had never met, offering him a dollar figure that would have paid off the house his ex-wife still lived in, and sent both his kids to graduate school. The target is confirmed as Arthur Pendleton. That's the name I was given by my employer. Where? Greenwich, Connecticut, Sterling Estate. He's being moved to White Plains Federal Courthouse tomorrow for a sealed deposition. Courthouse is too hard. Estate is too hard. I'll take him in transit. You'll have a window of about 45 minutes. That's plenty. Caleb had hung up, packed his bag, and called his pilot. He hadn't hesitated. He hadn't even thought about it. Not because he was a cold man, he wasn't, not entirely, but because 6 years was a long time to lose sleep over somebody you used to know. And closing the book on Arthur Pendleton would let him sleep for the first time in a long time. He sat down in the leather seat. He fastened his belt. He pulled out his phone and looked at a picture of Arthur he'd kept on it for 6 years, a surveillance photo from a city Arthur didn't remember visiting. "Hi, old friend," Caleb murmured. "Been a while." The jet began to taxi. At 6:30 in the morning, Lily padded into Arthur's room in her pajamas and crawled into bed with him. "Daddy." "Hey, baby." "I had a weird dream." "What about?" "I dreamed a dragon was at the door. A big one. And he was really sad. He said his friend got lost and he couldn't find him. And I said I would help him find his friend. And then I woke up." Arthur kissed the top of her head. "That's a nice dream, sweetheart." "Do you think dragons are real?" "I think some dragons are real, just a different kind than in books." "Like what kind?" "Like people who breathe fire when they're mad, or hoard money, or try to hurt people. That's not a dragon, Daddy. That's just a bad person." "Yeah, I guess you're right." She nestled into his shoulder. "Daddy." "Yeah." "Are we safe here?" "Yes, baby." "For real?" "For real." "Are you lying?" "Lily." "Daddy, are you lying?" He looked down at her. She was staring up at him with those big, serious eyes, her mother's eyes, 1,000 miles of ocean in them. "I think," he said carefully, that we are as safe as it is possible to be right now. And I am doing everything I can to keep us that way. And if anything changes, I will tell you. I promise. Okay. Okay. Can I have waffles? Yes, baby, you can have waffles. By 8 in the morning, Arthur was in the back of an armored SUV with 3 of Evelyn's security men. Lily was back at the estate. Evelyn had stayed with her. Arthur had made her promise twice that if anything went wrong, Lily would be on a plane to a destination Arthur would not know about within an hour. Evelyn had promised. Miguel had nodded. Arthur had hugged his daughter so hard she'd complained she couldn't breathe. Then he'd kissed her forehead and walked to the car without looking back because he knew if he looked back, he wouldn't leave. Miguel was in the driver's seat. He'd refused to let anyone else drive. How long? Arthur asked. 35 minutes if we take the parkway. 40 if we go the way I'm taking us. Which way are you taking us? Not the parkway. Good man. Bang. The SUV rolled out through the front gate and turned onto a back road. A chase car, a second SUV identical, pulled out a minute behind them. A third car, unmarked, was already in position a half-mile up the road. Miguel had set it up overnight. Arthur had watched him do it. Miguel ran a security detail the way a retired pitcher set up a bullpen, carefully, methodically, with the kind of attention that only came from having done it wrong once, a long time ago, and having lost someone because of it. Miguel. Yes, Mr. Pendleton. If something happens, nothing is going to happen. If something happens, yes, sir. Lily is your priority, not me, her. Do you understand? Mr. Pendleton, Ms. Sterling has given me the same instructions, and I will follow them. Thank you. Sir? Yeah. I need you to stop talking like a man who thinks he's going to die today. It's bad luck. Arthur almost smiled. Okay, Miguel. They drove in silence. At the estate, Evelyn sat in the library with Lily in her lap. Lily was reading her the book about the dragon. She was reading it out loud. Percival was the biggest dragon in the kingdom, but he was also the loneliest. All the other dragons were scared of him because he was so big, so he flew away over the mountains to find a place where someone would be his friend. That sounds like a sad book, sweetheart. It gets happy later. Good. Miss Evelyn? Yes, Lily. Where did my daddy go this morning? Evelyn hesitated. She had promised Arthur she wouldn't lie to the girl. She had also promised him she wouldn't scare her. The space between those two things was very small. Your daddy went to help some people at a courthouse. What's a courthouse? It's a place where they decide if people who did bad things get in trouble. Did my daddy do a bad thing? Isi. No, sweetheart. Your daddy is helping them catch a bad person. He's the helper, not the bad guy. Because he's always the helper. Yes, because he's always the helper. Okay. Lily went back to her book. Evelyn closed her eyes and let the weight of the little girl press against her chest, and she thought very quietly, Please God, bring him back. I don't ask you for much. Please bring him back. Arthur walked into the federal courthouse in White Plains through a private entrance with Miguel on one side of him and a U.S. Marshal on the other. He signed a dozen forms. He spoke to a woman named Assistant U.S. Attorney Ramirez, who explained the protocol which he already understood. He walked into a sealed room with 3 lawyers, a stenographer, and a judge he wasn't allowed to look at directly. He answered questions for 4 hours. He described the device, the trigger mechanism, the dummy capacitor, the fail-safe that had forced his hand in the bedroom of an office 32 stories up. He described the sabotage of the external scaffolding. He described the fact, and he said it plainly, that the person who had planted the device had the building's maintenance schedule, the CEO's calendar, and detailed knowledge of every emergency egress on the east side of the tower. He said that was not a thing an outsider could have. He said that was a thing only somebody on the executive floor could have. They asked him about Richard Croft specifically. He said he had never met Richard Croft. They asked him what, in his professional opinion, a man like Richard Croft would need in order to get a device like that onto the 32nd floor. He said 3 things: access, money, and a reason. They asked what a reason would look like, and he said, "A man tries to kill a CEO when he's been stealing from the company and he thinks she's about to find out. That's the reason. That's the only reason that fits the math." The room went still for a second. Ramirez nodded. "Thank you, Witness A. We appreciate your service." Arthur stood up. His legs were stiff. His ribs still hurt. He walked out through a back corridor with Miguel beside him and the marshal in front. They moved down 2 flights of stairs and into the garage. The SUV was waiting. Arthur got in. "How'd it go?" Miguel asked. "Done." "We going home?" "Yeah, let's go home." Miguel pulled out. The chase car pulled in behind them. They turned onto the service road. They turned onto the access road. They merged onto a small 2-lane county road that would take them back to Greenwich through the kind of quiet wooded route that wasn't on any of the main maps. Arthur leaned his head against the window. He let himself for 1 second feel relieved. Miguel's voice suddenly sharp. "Sir?" Arthur's head came up. "What?" Black pickup, behind the chase car. Came in off a side road about half a mile back. Hasn't passed even though we're doing 40. "How long?" 2 minutes. "Speed up." "I am." Comms with the chase car. "Open." Arthur picked up the radio. "Chase car, come in." "Go for chase." "We got a tail. Black pickup. Break off at the next intersection and see if he follows you or us." "Copy." A minute later, the chase car turned right at an intersection. The pickup kept going straight behind Arthur's SUV. "Son of a bitch," Miguel said. "Miguel." "Yes, sir." "How far to the highway?" 6 miles. "Can you get us there in 4 minutes?" "I can try." "Try." The SUV accelerated. The pickup accelerated. Arthur reached into the door compartment and pulled out the sidearm Miguel had told him would be there. He checked it. Loaded. Safety on. He flipped the safety off. "Miguel." "Yes, sir." "Whatever happens, if the car goes down." "I know." "You get to Lily." "I know, Mr. Pendleton." The pickup was closing. "He's alone," Miguel said. "Driver only." "That's worse." "Why?" "Because it means he thinks one of him is enough." Arthur turned and looked through the back window. The pickup was 50 yards back and closing. The driver's face was hard to make out through the windshield, but something about the silhouette made Arthur's stomach drop. The shape of the head, the set of the shoulders, the way the man held the wheel low and steady, like he had all the time in the world. "No," Arthur said softly. "No, no, no." "What?" "I know him." "What?" "Miguel, I know him." "From where?" "From before. The people I was running from." Miguel's eyes went hard. "How good is he?" "Better than me." The pickup rammed the back of the SUV. The SUV lurched. Miguel kept it on the road. "Brace!" Miguel shouted. Another hit. Harder. Arthur felt the back tire blow. The SUV slewed. Miguel wrestled the wheel and brought it onto the shoulder before the whole thing could flip. He killed the engine. Out. Arthur was already moving. He kicked the passenger door open and rolled out onto the grass. The pickup had come to a stop 30 yards back. The driver was getting out. Slowly. Calmly. A rifle in his hand. "Arthur," the driver called. His voice was not loud. It carried anyway. Arthur crouched behind the SUV. Miguel was on the other side, sidearm drawn. "You know his voice," Miguel whispered. "Yeah, I know it." "Friend." Used to be. Arthur, the man called again. Come on, you know how this ends. Let's not make it ugly. The driver doesn't have to die. I don't want the driver. I want you. Arthur closed his eyes for 1 second. Then he called back. Caleb. There was a pause. Been a long time, Arthur. 6 years. I know. You doing this for money? I'm doing this for a lot of money. They tell you about my daughter. Another pause. They told me. And you came anyway. I came anyway. Caleb, don't. Arthur, don't. It was always going to be me. You knew that. That's the deal we signed. I unsigned it. You can't unsign it. That's the whole point. Arthur leaned his head back against the SUV. His hands were very steady. They always were. It was the one thing about him that had never changed. Caleb. Yes. I'm going to offer you something. Okay. Walk away. Right now. Tell them I got away. Tell them the escort had more guys than you were briefed on. Tell them whatever you have to tell them. Arthur. I have money, not as much as they're paying you. Close. I can get it to you by tomorrow. I can give you a new name. I can get you out. Caleb, walk away. I can't. Why? Because they'll send somebody for me next. You know that. No, they won't. I'll make them a deal. I'll give them what they want. I'll give them something they want more than me. What could you possibly? I have the files, Caleb. A long silence. No, you don't. I do. Arthur, you wouldn't. I took them with me when I left. Every operation, every name, every payment, every asset. I have been sitting on them for 6 years. I have 3 different people in 3 different countries who are instructed to make them public if I disappear. I told myself I would never use them. I would rather burn the world down than let my daughter grow up without a father. Do you hear me? I would burn the whole thing down. Another silence. Longer. You're bluffing. Try me. Arthur, walk away. Tell them I got away. Tell them to stop looking. Or I dump it all. Tomorrow. Everything. Every name. Your name. Arthur heard a long, slow breath from the other side of the SUV. Then Caleb said very quietly, If I walk away. Yes. If I walk away, I don't come back. And neither does anyone else. Because if you dump those files, I'm not the only one who goes down. There's a lot of people who would wish you dead, but there's a lot of people who'd wish you alive too, because you'd take them with you. I can make that argument for you, but only once. I trust you to make it. That's funny, Arthur. You don't trust anybody. I trust you to make that argument because making it saves your own skin. A dry laugh. Fair. A pause. Arthur. Yes. Your kid. A girl. Yes. How old? 7. Jesus Christ. Yeah. There was another long pause. Arthur could hear the wind in the trees. He could hear Miguel breathing through his teeth behind the back tire. He could hear his own heartbeat. Then he heard footsteps, moving away, back toward the pickup. He heard a door slam. He heard an engine start. He heard tires on gravel and then on pavement and then fading down the road. He waited 30 seconds, then a full minute, then 2. Then he let himself slide down the side of the SUV and sit on the grass with his hands hanging off his knees. Mr. Pendleton. Yeah, Miguel. Who was that? My old boss. And he just left. He just left. What did you tell him? I told him the only truth I had left. Miguel didn't ask what that was. He just walked around the SUV, put a hand on Arthur's shoulder, and stood with him for a minute, while Arthur tried to remember how to breathe. Then he said, Chase car's a mile out. Okay. Let's get you home. Arthur looked up at him. Home. Yeah, Home. Arthur got up. His legs held him. His hands were steady. He climbed into the back of the SUV, and he closed his eyes, and for the first time in 6 years, Arthur Pendleton let himself believe that the ghost who had been following him might finally have stopped walking. Not because the ghost was gone, because Arthur had finally been willing to light the match. The SUV rolled back through the gates of the Greenwich estate just after 3 in the afternoon. Evelyn was waiting on the steps before the car even stopped. Lily was holding her good hand. The moment Lily saw her father through the windshield, she let go of Evelyn and ran. Arthur got out of the car and knelt in the gravel and caught her with both arms. "Daddy! Daddy, you're home." "I'm home, baby." "You were gone a long time." "I know, sweetheart. I know." "Miss Evelyn let me eat ice cream for lunch." "Did she now?" "2 scoops." "That's a scandal." Arthur picked her up and walked toward the steps. Evelyn was standing very still. Her eyes were red. She'd been holding something in for a long time, and she was still holding it in now because there was a child in the room. "You're okay," she said. It wasn't a question. "I'm okay." Miguel called. "I know." He said somebody. "I know Evelyn." She nodded. She didn't ask. Not yet. Not with Lily watching. "Lily, sweetheart," Evelyn said. "The chef is making cookies. Chocolate chip. Would you like to go help him?" "By myself. He'll teach you. His name is Carlos. He's very nice." "Daddy, can I?" "Go on, baby." She wriggled out of his arms and ran for the kitchen. A staff member intercepted her with a smile and walked her through the big double doors. Arthur watched her go. Then he sat down on the steps because his legs had finally given out. Evelyn sat next to him. "Arthur. He came for me." "Who?" "A man who used to train me. They sent him. Richard sent him." "Richard?" "Had to be. Caleb doesn't work cheap. And the timing right after the deposition, it had to be Richard." "Jesus." "He let me go." "What?" "Caleb. He let me go. I made him a deal. A bad one. I told him I'd dump every piece of classified material I still had if he didn't walk away. And he walked." "You had that?" "I had it. I've had it since the night I left." "Why didn't you use it before?" "Because the day I use it is the day 100 people I used to know decide I'm the enemy forever. Not one enemy. 100. Today I just added one more to the list. But I also made the other 100 realize that if anything happens to me, the files go live. So today, I either ended it or I started it. I don't know which yet." "Arthur." "Yeah." "You're shaking." He looked down at his hands. They were shaking. They hadn't shaken in 6 years. They weren't shaking from fear. They were shaking from something else. Something older. The body remembering every moment it had held itself together for too long, and finally letting go. Evelyn reached over with her good hand. She put it over his. He didn't move. They sat like that for a long time. Then she said, "Richard doesn't know the deposition happened yet. Douglas confirmed the seal. He'll find out tomorrow morning when the indictment lands on his lawyer's desk." "Good." "Arthur, I need to tell you something." "Okay." Douglas ran a background search, not on Adam Park, on Arthur Pendleton. He went still. "Evelyn." "I know. I'm sorry. I told him not to. He did it anyway. He's my lawyer. It's his job to know who's sleeping under my roof." "What did he find?" "Nothing." "What?" "Nothing, Arthur. There's no Arthur Pendleton. Not one that matches you. Your name has been scrubbed from every database he has access to. He ran it 6 different ways. There are no records, no fingerprints, no photograph, no birth certificate, no school transcript, no military record, no tax return, nothing." "That's impossible." "Why, he said the same thing. He said somebody a long time ago went through every system in this country and erased you. The only reason I even know the name Arthur Pendleton is real is because you told it to me. Arthur closed his eyes. It was them. The group. They erased me when I joined. They do it to all of us. That's how they know we can't go home. There's no home to go to. And they never put you back. Why would they? I was dead to them the day I walked. So if they wanted to kill you, there would be nobody to identify the body. Arthur? Yeah. What do you want to do? I want to finish this with Richard. Then I want to take my daughter somewhere safe and start over. One more time. The last time. Where? I don't know yet. I have ideas. Evelyn. Just listen. I have a property in Montana, on a lake, 900 acres, private road. Closest neighbor is 7 miles away. It's in my grandmother's maiden name. There's not a piece of paper in my company that connects me to it. You could live there 100 years and nobody would find you. Lily could go to a small school. You could work with your hands. You could fish in the summer and shovel snow in the winter. And when you wanted to come see me, you'd come. And when you didn't, you wouldn't. Evelyn. I'm not asking you to love me. I know you're not. I'm asking you to let me help. Why? Because I don't have any children, Arthur. I don't have any family left. My father is dead. My mother is dead. I have a brother in California I haven't spoken to in 11 years. I have an empire and a board and 112 employees, and I have never in my entire adult life known someone who made me feel like I mattered as a person and not as an asset. And I met you 2 days ago and you jumped out of a window with me. And I know that's a strange foundation for anything. But it's the most real thing that has ever happened to me, and I am not going to sit in this house after you leave and pretend it didn't happen. Mentally. Arthur looked at her. Evelyn. Don't answer. Not now. Just don't say no. Not yet. Think about it. I will. Good. Evelyn. Yes. Thank you. She looked away. Her eyes were shining. Don't thank me yet. Why? Because I haven't done it. He laughed. She laughed too. Their laughter was tired and small and a little bit cracked at the edges, but it was real, and they sat on the steps of her house and laughed together for a minute. And then Lily came running out of the kitchen with flour on her nose and a cookie in each hand, and the world was for a small moment very good. Richard Croft was arrested the next morning at 7-Eleven in his Manhattan penthouse. The FBI came in through the service entrance. His housekeeper let them in without realizing who they were. They walked up 2 flights of stairs and found him in his bathrobe with a cup of coffee in one hand and the Wall Street Journal in the other. Agent Calloway, the same Calloway who had sat in Evelyn's hospital room 2 days earlier, did the honors. Richard Croft, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder. The attempted murder of Evelyn Sterling wire fraud bank, fraud securities fraud, and the embezzlement of approximately $9,240,000 from Sterling Corporation. You have the right to remain silent. Richard didn't set down the coffee right away. Do you know who I am? Yes, sir, I do. Do you know what my attorneys are going to do to you? Yes, sir. I've been looking forward to it. You have the right to an attorney, if you cannot afford one. Oh, I can afford one. I'm sure you can. They walked him out of his own apartment in handcuffs and a bathrobe. A photographer from the Post had somehow been tipped off and was waiting on the sidewalk. The photo ran on the front page the next morning. Richard Croft, 52 years old, silver at the temples in a cashmere bathrobe and bedroom slippers, being folded into the back of a federal sedan. The caption would become one of the most reproduced lines in business journalism that year. It read, "The man who thought he was smarter." By noon, Sterling Corporation's board had convened an emergency meeting. By 1, Richard Croft had been stripped of his title, his equity, and his access to every account he had ever touched. By 3, the forensic accountants Evelyn had hired 6 months earlier, on a hunch she'd kept to herself, had filed a preliminary report detailing 4 Cayman shell companies, 16 fraudulent vendor invoices, and a pattern of siphoning that had been going on for almost exactly the amount of time Richard had been COO. By 5, the indictment landed on his attorney's desk. It was 58 pages long. It included as attached evidence a sealed deposition from a witness, identified only as Witness A, whose identity was protected under federal statute, and whose expert analysis of the explosive device recovered from the Sterling Apex Tower established beyond any reasonable doubt that the bomb had been planted by someone with direct access to the executive floor and intimate knowledge of the CEO's calendar and the building's emergency egress systems. Richard's attorney read the indictment twice. Then he walked into the holding cell where Richard was waiting and sat down across from his client. "Richard, get me out." "Richard, I can't get you out." "What?" "The witness they have, whoever he is. He didn't just testify about the bomb. He testified about the sabotage of the external scaffolding, about the dummy capacitor, about the failsafe, about a dozen technical details that nobody could possibly know unless they had been on that floor within 30 minutes of the attempt on her life. And the FBI has surveillance footage of you calling an unregistered number from your office the morning of the incident. And they have financial records tying you to a contractor who was on the 32nd floor the night before the bomb was planted. And they have... Stop. Richard, I'm telling you this because I am your attorney, and it is my job to tell you the truth. You need to start thinking about a plea, right now. A plea? Yes. I don't do pleas. Richard, the bomb killed 2 people. There was a long pause. What? 2 of the building's maintenance staff. They were on 32 when the device finally detonated, after the witness and Ms. Sterling had exited the floor. A janitor named Hector Ramos, and a mechanical engineer named Daniel Foy. They have widows. They have children. The prosecutors are going to hang those deaths on your neck. You are looking at life. If you don't cooperate, you are looking at life without the possibility of parole. If you do cooperate, if you give them the name of every person who helped you, you might live long enough to see daylight again. That is the choice. Richard stared at the wall for a long time. Then he said quietly, "Who is Witness A?" "Richard, you know I can't." "Who is he?" "I don't know. That's the truth. It's sealed. Nobody knows. Not even me." "He saved her life." "Yes." "He was the contractor." "Richard." "He's the reason all of this is happening." "Richard, I am begging you, do not say anything else to anyone. Not to me. Not to your wife. Not to another inmate. Not to a wall. Do you understand?" Richard didn't answer. He was looking at the wall of the holding cell. He was thinking about a man whose name he had never learned. A man in a contractor's uniform who had walked through the middle of his perfect plan and out the other side and straight into a federal deposition room. "Who are you?" he whispered to nobody. "Who the hell are you?" In Greenwich, 90 miles away, the man he was asking about was teaching his 7-year-old daughter how to skip a stone across a private lake behind a private house. "Like this baby, low, flick your wrist." "Daddy, it sank." "Try again." It sank again. "Try again." "Daddy, this is hard." "That's why it's worth doing." 3 days later, Arthur Pendleton sat in Evelyn's library one last time. Lily was asleep upstairs. It was late. 2 glasses of whiskey sat on the coffee table between them. Neither of them had touched theirs in 10 minutes. "When?" "Tomorrow." "Arthur." "I said I'd stay until he was arrested. He's arrested. I said I'd testify. I testified. Richard is going to die in prison. My part's done." "You don't have to go." "Yes, I do." "Why?" "Because Caleb walked away. He didn't get stopped. He didn't get killed. He walked, which means the people who sent him know by now that he walked, which means they're thinking right now about what I said to him, about the files, about whether to send somebody else, about whether to let it go. You said they'd let it go. I said they might, or they might decide the risk of letting me live is less than the risk of killing me and finding out I wasn't bluffing. Either way, I don't want my daughter in a house that might get a visitor. And your house is a house that might get a visitor. Arthur. Evelyn, it's not about not wanting to stay. You have to believe me. It's about keeping Lily alive. That's all I've ever been about. That's all I have left to be. She looked down at her whiskey. Montana, I'll think about it. Arthur. I will. I promise. I just can't think about it yet. I need to move first. I need to be somewhere small and safe for a few months and let the dust settle and let Caleb's argument to whoever runs his group land or not land. And then I'll think about Montana. I'll think about it very seriously, I swear to you. I'll keep it ready. Don't? I'll keep it ready, Arthur. He didn't argue. Evelyn. Yes. Douglas set up the accounts. Yes. Lily's medical trust. Yes, $2 million. It will cover anything she ever needs. Any hospital, any specialist, anywhere in the world. She's never paying another medical bill. And the identity. It's not just an identity. Douglas called in a favor from someone he used to clerk for at Justice. You and Lily have new legally valid names, social security numbers, birth certificates, school records, every piece of paper a normal life needs. It's not a fugitive identity, Arthur. It's a real one. It will hold up to any check anyone ever runs on you. I don't know exactly how Douglas pulled it off. I don't want to know. Evelyn, that's... Don't. Just take it. Please. Thank you. Don't thank me. I'm going to thank you. I'm going to thank you a lot. She smiled. It wobbled at the corners. Arthur? Yes. One more thing. She reached into her cardigan pocket and pulled out a small card. A business card. Plain. White. One phone number printed on it in black ink. No name. No company. No address. This is my personal line, not my assistant's, not my company's, mine. Nobody else has this number. It rings a phone that sits on my nightstand. If you ever, and I mean ever, need anything, you call this number. It doesn't matter what time it is. It doesn't matter what country you're in. It doesn't matter what you need. You call, I answer. Do you understand? Evelyn. Do you understand? Yes. And Arthur. Yes. The reverse is also true. What? If I ever need you, I'll find a way to reach you. I don't know what that way is yet, but I'll find one. Evelyn, you shouldn't. Arthur, I nearly died. You carried me out. That's not a thing that goes away. I don't want it to go away. I'm not going to pretend it did. I'm not going to be a chapter of your life you closed because you had to. I'm going to be a door you know is open. That's all. That's the whole offer. He took the card. He put it in his wallet. He closed the wallet. He put it in his back pocket. He looked at her. Evelyn. Yes. I want you to know something. Okay. In my whole life, before yesterday, I don't think anybody ever chose to help me without wanting something from me first. I know. I didn't know people like you existed. I didn't either, she said, until 2 days ago. Damn. They sat there. For a long time. Two people with nothing more to say that needed saying out loud. Arthur and Lily left the estate at sunrise. Miguel drove them to a small airfield in western Connecticut. A private plane was waiting. No logo, no company name, just a tail number that matched nothing in any public registry. Evelyn had arranged it. Arthur hadn't asked how. Lily was wearing a little backpack. She was holding her stuffed bear. She was wearing brand new sneakers that lit up when she walked. Evelyn had bought them for her. Lily had not stopped walking around the house for the last 2 days, specifically to make them flash. They stood at the bottom of the air stair. Miguel was a respectful distance away, with Arthur's one bag. Evelyn had driven out with them. She'd stayed in the car at first. Then she'd gotten out. Then she'd walked across the tarmac in a sweater that looked too big for her and a scarf wrapped around her neck and stopped in front of Lily. "Miss Evelyn." "Hi, sweetheart. Are you coming with us?" "No, honey, I'm staying here." "Why?" "Because this is where my home is." "Oh." Lily thought about that for a second. "You should come visit us at our new home. I would like that very much. Daddy, can Miss Evelyn come visit us?" Arthur looked at Evelyn. "We'll see, baby," he said. "Maybe someday." "Maybe someday," Lily repeated very seriously, like she was filing it away. Evelyn knelt down slow and careful because of her shoulder. She opened her arms. Lily walked into them. They hugged for a long moment. Evelyn closed her eyes. "Lily." "Yes, Miss Evelyn." "Your daddy is a very good man." "I know." "You take care of him." "Okay." "Okay. Promise." Pinky promise. They hooked little fingers. Evelyn nodded the way a judge accepts a testimony. Then she stood up, and Lily walked up the air stair, and she stopped at the top and turned around and waved with both hands, and her sneakers flashed red and blue in the early morning light. Then she disappeared into the plane. Arthur stood on the tarmac. "Evelyn!" "Arthur!" He took one step forward, then another. He put his arms around her, gently because of the sling. She put her good arm around him and held on. They stood like that for a long moment. Nobody said anything. There was nothing left to say that hadn't been said. Then he stepped back. "I'll call," he said. "I know you will. Take care of yourself." "You too." "Evelyn." "Yes. Thank you. For everything. For all of it." "Arthur." "Yes. Go be her father. That's all I want. Be her father for a long time." He nodded. He couldn't speak. He turned and walked up the air stair, and at the top, he turned around one last time and looked at her. She was standing on the tarmac in her sweater and her scarf, one arm in a sling, the other raised in a small wave. Arthur raised his hand. He walked into the plane. The door closed behind him. He sat down next to his daughter. He buckled her in. He kissed the top of her head. "Daddy." "Yes, baby." "Where are we going?" "Somewhere nice, sweetheart." "Will there be other kids there?" "There will." "Will there be a school?" "There will." "Will we be safe there?" He looked at her. His 7-year-old, with her stuffed bear, with her flashing sneakers, with her freckles. "Yes, baby," he said. "We're going to be safe, for a long, long time. I promise." Pinky promise. He hooked his finger around hers. Pinky promise. The plane began to taxi. Through the oval window, Arthur watched Evelyn Sterling get smaller. She stood on the tarmac until the plane had lifted off and turned west and was nothing but a flash of silver against the pale dawn sky. Then she got into her car. Miguel drove her home. She went to her library. She sat in the same chair where Lily had read her the book about the dragon. She picked up the book. It was still open to the page Lily had left it on. The dragon had just found his friend. She closed the book. She held it against her chest. And for the first time since her father had died 15 years earlier, Evelyn Sterling allowed herself to cry. Not from loss, from gratitude. Richard Croft pled guilty 4 months later. His attorney had convinced him that cooperating was the only path that ended with him ever seeing the outside of a federal prison. He gave up 3 accomplices, a mid-level finance officer, an external consultant, a building maintenance supervisor who had accepted $40,000 to hand over a key card. All 3 were indicted within a week. All 3 took deals of their own. Richard was sentenced to 42 years without the possibility of parole. He was 53 years old. The math was simple. He was not going to walk out. The last thing he said before being led from the courtroom in shackles was a single question he directed at the prosecutor's table, where Evelyn Sterling sat in the front row in a black suit and a silk scarf. Who was he? Evelyn looked him in the eye. She did not answer. The marshals took him away. Yeah. 11 months after that, in a small town, nobody would ever have reason to visit a man who was no longer called Arthur Pendleton and no longer called Adam Park, walked his daughter to her second-grade classroom on her first day of the school year. She was holding his hand. She had a new backpack. She had a lunchbox with a dragon on it. "Daddy, don't wait. I'll walk you to the door." "Daddy, I'm a big kid." "I know you are. So don't wait." He stopped at the edge of the blacktop. He watched her walk the rest of the way to the door by herself. She turned around halfway there and waved. Her sneakers, new ones she'd outgrown, the flashing kind, didn't light up anymore. They were just white. She didn't need them to flash anymore. She was big. She walked into the school. The door closed behind her. He stood there for a long minute, and then he walked home. Home was a small house on a quiet street. He made himself a cup of coffee. He sat on the porch. He looked out over a view that was his. A view he had paid for with 6 years of running, one federal deposition, one act of mercy from a man who had been trained to kill him, and a fall from a 32nd-story window. A view he had earned. A view that was his and his daughter's and no one else's. His phone rang. He picked it up. He looked at the number. He smiled. He answered. "Hi, Evelyn." "Hi, Arthur. It's been a while. 6 weeks and 4 days. Who's counting?" "I am." He laughed. "How's the shoulder?" "Almost good as new. I can reach overhead again. The physical therapist is still calling me stubborn." "You are stubborn." "I know." A pause. "Evelyn." "Yes." "Lily asked about you last night." "Did she?" "She said, 'Daddy, when are we going to visit Miss Evelyn?'" "And what did you tell her?" "I told her soon." "How soon is soon?" "Thanksgiving soon." A long pause. "Arthur." "Yes." "Really?" "Really." "You'll come here." "You said Montana. We never used Montana. Maybe we use Montana for Thanksgiving. See how it feels." "Arthur." "See how it feels. That's all I'm saying. See how it feels." "Okay." "Okay." Another pause. "Arthur." "Yes." "Thank you." "Don't thank me yet." "Why?" "Because I haven't done it." She laughed. "We'll see." He laughed too. He hung up the phone. He set it on the porch railing. He took a sip of his coffee. He looked out at the quiet street. A neighbor waved. He waved back. Arthur Pendleton, who had been Adam Park, who was now someone else, who would answer to the name his daughter called him for the rest of his life, sat on his porch in a small town in a country that had nearly destroyed him, and he let himself believe something he had not believed in 6 years. He had made it. His daughter was safe. His enemies had moved on. The woman who had saved him back was waiting for him on a lake in Montana with the door open. And the man who had once been a ghost, who had disappeared from one life to protect another, who had saved a stranger's life at the cost of his own anonymity, who had taught himself how to vanish and then chosen finally to stop, was not a ghost anymore. He was a father. He was a neighbor. He was a man with a porch and a cup of coffee and a phone number on a business card in his wallet that he intended to call very soon and say yes to everything that number had offered him. He had done his duty. He had paid his debts. He had kept his promises. And the single father who once saved a billionaire's life and slipped away into the shadows, the man who chose to disappear so the people he loved could live, had at long last come home.